Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoyed their weekend and their Monday. But what do I mean when I say most fans make it hard and impossible to watch sports and enjoy sports and not feel like an idiot? I'll tell you coming up in a few minutes. But first, I want to say that over the weekend I had a chance to referee 7 wrestling matches. I did 3 Saturday night at Southern Fried Championship Wrestling in Monroe, Georgia, and Sunday afternoon I did 4 at UWF in Colbert, Georgia. Southern Fried's next show is coming up on Saturday, February the 3rd. UWF's next show is coming up on Sunday, February the 4th. As always, I strongly encourage you to watch the complete Southern Fried Championship Wrestling show from this past Saturday when it's uploaded on YouTube, coming up sometime before the week is out. And the matches from UWF will slowly drop on YouTube over the coming days and weeks. And I encourage you to watch those as well. We had over 400 fans in attendance at Southern Fried Championship Wrestling on Saturday. And the main event was a Falls Count Anywhere women's match between Crystal Rose and Kat Spencer. And of course, as always, the college basketball AP poll. The new one came out yesterday. Let's talk about that for a minute. The number 1 team in the country now in the college basketball is UConn, followed by Purdue, North Carolina, Houston, Tennessee, Kentucky, Kansas, Auburn, Arizona, and Illinois rounding out the top 10. Then we have Oklahoma, Duke, Wisconsin, Marquette, Baylor at number 15, Dayton, Creighton, Utah State, Memphis, and Texas Tech sitting at number 20. And 21 through 25 is BYU, FAU, Iowa State, Colorado State, and New Mexico. UConn, one of those teams that is seemingly always good at college basketball. Number 1 team in America as of January the 22nd. Now, over the weekend, we had, of course, the NFL divisional rounds in the AFC and the NFC. Saturday, we saw the Ravens defeat the Texans 34-10. And we saw the 49ers defeat the Packers 24-21. Sunday, we saw the Detroit Lions defeat the Buccaneers 31-23. And the Chiefs beat the Bills 27-24. So this weekend, AFC Championship game, Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. NFC Championship game, Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I am pulling hard for the Detroit Lions just because I ain't got a dog in the fight. So I would love to see the underdog story. And the Detroit Lions, for the most part, have just been a complete joke of a franchise for 50 years or longer. So, got to give them credit for slowly but surely finally getting up there, finally finding the right coach, finally finding the right quarterback to fit their scheme, to fit what they want to do. So I am pulling hard for the Detroit Lions. But I always say that if you see me in person, usually I don't bring up sports. I let somebody else do it. And if I'm talking sports to that person and I can tell they're an idiot, I generally walk off or change the subject. This NFL stuff right now is something else that just gets on my everlasting nerve because most fans are complete idiots. And if you actually talk to them, you realize most of them have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know if these people don't watch the games and they just spout off stupid stuff to see if you notice it, or if they only know about their team, and if it ain't their team, they really don't know. But instead of saying they don't know, they just say stuff. But on social media for the past, I don't know, I guess week or so, there's been this thing that I've seen 1,000 times since probably about a week ago that NFL memes has supposedly leaked that the Super Bowl this year is going to be the Ravens and the 49ers. First of all, anybody with common sense knows that if it's NFL memes, obviously it's a joke. It's funny how we think that memes are supposed to be, a joke and to make fun of something until we try to prove a narrative, and then all of a sudden we take it serious. It goes back to what I was saying a couple of weeks ago, how, we'll change our narrative based on us trying to prove a point. We'll say something one way, but then if we feel another way, all of a sudden what we said last week doesn't matter. We think NFL memes is funny, it's a joke, but we're dumb enough to believe that the NFL is scripted. So all of a sudden, when NFL memes releases something funny, something that's a joke, all of a sudden, well, I think the NFL's fake, so I'm gonna say that's serious. You can't do that. Either take NFL memes serious or don't. But don't take it serious when you want to prove your point. But when you're not proving a point, you know it's a joke. The Ravens and the Niners should play in the Super Bowl because they are the two best teams. But generally, just like any other sport, the two best teams don't play. Most of the time, one of the teams gets upset. And there's also a chance that one of them gets upset this weekend. But this is the fourth to fifth year in a row that on social media I have seen somebody release something about the NFL accidentally releasing the big game. And so far up until this year, every other year, it's been wrong, which should tell you that when you see this stuff, it's not real. But if it happens this year, people will swear up and down that it's real because they saw that, totally ignoring the past 5 years and they've seen it and it's been wrong. If you release this stuff every year, after a while, yeah, you're going to be right. If you pick the Super Bowl every year, you're going to be right. But you're not going to get credit for the 1 year you were right when you were wrong for 5 or 6 years. What's that old saying? A blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. Well, if you pick the big game every year, after a while you're going to be right. But now if you're right 5 or 6 years in a row, that's one thing. But to pick the big game 5 or 6 years in a row and get it right one time, well, you just got lucky. It happens. But also, every year when it comes to the NFL, for whatever reason, when playoff time comes around, people start saying, well, if this team wins it, it's rigged. If this team wins it, it's rigged. Well, guess what? If somebody says that about every single team in the playoffs, newsflash, one of the teams in the playoffs has to win it. So that doesn't mean they won it because it's scripted. It means they won it because they won it. But you got the NFL memes people wanting to believe that it's going to be the Ravens and the 49ers. And then somebody I went to school with said the Chiefs are going to win it because it's scripted. And the NFL wants the Chiefs to get there because they want to have Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift on the field together and let Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift. Well, somebody else said they're going to let the Lions get there because they're the true underdog story and they've been no good for so long. Imagine how much it would help the NFL if the Lions all of a sudden get there. Well, guess what? If you've got fans believing it's going to be the Ravens and the Niners, and then you've got fans saying it's going to be the Lions, then you've got fans saying it's going to be the Chiefs, one of those teams has to win the whole doggone thing. There's no choice. So just because one of those four teams wins the whole doggone thing doesn't mean it's scripted. It means, hey, guess what? Out of the teams that are left, one of those teams that's left has to win the whole doggone thing. For some reason, fans are absolutely complete, total idiots. And if you have ever played any kind of game in your life, no matter what it is, of a competitive nature, 95% of people are so competitive, they want to win. I know when I was in school, I totally hated school, couldn't stand it, despised it. So back when I was in school, it was different than what it is now. Nowadays, going to class doesn't matter. If you're good, they'll pass you. When I was in school, they actually cared about your academics, and I hated school. So I didn't have good enough grades to play sports, but I had friends that did. But I also played on a church softball team about 15 or 20 years ago, and we were so competitive that if somebody came up to us and said, hey, we'll give y'all $5,000 a piece if y'all let so-and-so church win the whole thing, everybody on our team would have said, no, we're not doing that. We want to win it. And that wasn't just us being different. That's just how people are. You can talk to most athletes that have ever played that never won a ring or a trophy or whatever it is in their sport when you win the whole thing. And you can ask him, hey, would you rather have an extra $1,000,000 or would you rather have that ring? And almost every single one of them would say, hey, I want that ring. I want that trophy. Because as Herm Edwards always said, you play to win the game. That's why you play. You don't play to let somebody else win it. You play because you want to win. That's just how we are. That's how we're wired. We're competitive. But not only that, this day and time with social media being like it is and all these former athletes having YouTube shows and having podcasts and going on TV shows and writing books, if any sport was scripted, by now we would know, because some former athlete would have went on YouTube or wrote a book or went on a podcast by now and came out and said, hey, that year, so and so was scripted to win the whole thing. We would know, believe me. Not only that, you can't do this in football or any other sport, because if the season starts and you say, hey, we're going to script Baltimore and San Fran. What if week one of the season, Lamar Jackson goes out there and tears his ACL. Well, guess what? Your whole script is out the window because Baltimore ain't no way they're good enough to get there without Lamar Jackson. So things like that you just can't do. Plus, somebody else was stupid enough to release a picture of the Super Bowl logo the last 3 years and claim that the colors of the logo tell you who's going to play the big game. There's only one problem with that. Again, it's people trying to be stupid to prove a point. If you look at last year's logo and last year's colors, the Eagles got there last year. The green color in the logo is a light green, more like what the Dolphins wear, not the Eagles. The Eagles green is not a light green, but people released that trying to prove a point, and they actually put the Eagles logo out beside the Super Bowl logo. And the Eagles green and the logo green are nowhere near the same color. How people look at that and actually think that's legit, I have no idea. They're not close to the same color. You could be colorblind and realize they're not close to the same color. But they want to prove a point, so they go right along with it, and millions and millions and millions of people actually fall for it. How fans can be so stupid and so ignorant, I don't know. But I go around on a daily basis having all these opinions and thoughts about sports, and I just keep to myself because around most sports fans, I can hear them talking, and I just feel my IQ just dropping. And the whole time they're talking, I'm thinking to myself, how can you be this stupid? There's no way you can watch sports and actually be this stupid about sports. You can be a brand new sports fan and only watch a handful of games and not be this stupid. So how fans can be this stupid, I do not know. I've never understood it. I never will understand it. In my opinion, if somebody's talking about something that I don't know about, keep your mouth shut. I know I do. If I walk by somebody and they're discussing something I don't know about, I don't say a word. Because it's better to keep your mouth shut and let people think you're an idiot than to open your mouth and prove them right. So if somebody is discussing something I don't know about, I don't say a word. I just keep my mouth shut. Any thoughts on this, please feel free to let me know. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. My wife fainted onto the baggage carousel at the airport. Thankfully, she came around. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.